I presume you're here in order to learn of Magecraft. I'll have you know, there's no room for the weak-willed in this course, and despite your best efforts, the sorcery of our time is but a fraction of what it once was in the Age of Gods. Much of the craft is established through pedigree, and the culture of mages is riddled with deception and moral depravity. That said, if you insist, I shall do my best to educate you in this miserable, yet fascinating world.
In our previous lesson, I covered fairies, the nature spirits that remained in Britain long after other phantasmal species left during the Age of Gods. As iconic as they are, their status is shared by a different type of phantasmal, dragons, specifically one dragon, Albion. If I'm to speak of fairies, it is only fitting that I also discuss dragons, as the most realistic way of finding fairies is to traverse a dragon's corpse deep underground. Thus, today's lesson is on dragons, and next time, the Spiritual Tomb of Albion. There are 3 classifications for phantasmal species, those being magical, phantasmal, and divine. Dragons have variants in all 3, being the pinnacle species within each one. This ultimate phantasmal creature has been around even before the Age of Gods, greatly influencing human history. Though they appropriate traits from other creatures, dragons are identified by their ability to generate mana simply by breathing. It's reasonable to describe them as large masses of mana, capable of growing stronger by absorbing additional mana from other sources. Although rare, this includes a dragon's ability to devour and absorb its own kind. By doing so, they swell in size and strength, and if they amass enough concentrated power, they can even manifest singularities. It's worth noting that wyverns are a smaller subspecies of dragon. Their mana-absorbing capabilities are limited, and are especially vulnerable to a certain Japanese swordsman. Given that the lungs of a proper dragon are essentially mana factories, it's no surprise that dragons derive great power from their breath. To an extent, it's possible to categorize dragons by the properties of their breath, which often corresponds to their color. Naturally, red dragons breathe fire, but there are many other kinds. For instance, blue dragons breathe thunder, and black dragons spew acid. Additional colors include white, gold, silver, and green. Through both evolution and mystery, we can observe differences between dragons of Eastern and Western origin. In the Far East, dragons tend to develop akin to serpents, often with divine origin. Specifically, Chinese dragons are known for having a reverse scale below their chins. Simply touching this region can infuriate a dragon, prompting it to rampage the planet. When it comes to snake-like dragons, a prime example is Japan's Dragon of Disaster, Yamata no Orochi. It is an 8-headed, 8-tailed monster central to the nation's mythology. This includes tales of Orochi's daughter, Ibuki Doji, and her Oni form as Shuten Doji. Her incarnation carries on as one of Japan's 3 great monsters. Another Japanese dragon is Oryo. In her case, she was a small dragon who washed up on Japan and was shunned from birth. Eventually, she was sealed away on the summit of Takachiho until being freed from eternal torment by the warrior Sakamoto Ryoma, who selflessly pulled out the lance pinning her down. Since then, Oryo has fallen for her savior, forever entwined with his destiny. Interestingly, there are some accounts of dragons incarnating as horses. Chief among them is Bai Long, the horse of Xuanzang Sanzang. This steed is the child of the Dragon King of the 4 Seas, granting it inhuman powers. Also famous in Chinese folklore is Sibushang, the mount of Taigong Wang. It too is part horse, part dragon. Such creatures are not exclusive to Asia, as the tales of Bogatyr Dobrynya Nikitich speak of a horse named Burko. When summoned as a servant, Dobrynya's steed becomes cursed, taking the form of a dragon. The cause is Zmi Gorinich, a nefarious creature of the Zmi, a Russian race of dragons known for having multiple heads. Gorinich, the Serpent of the Mountains, was a shapeshifter who caused havoc for humans, prompting Dobrynya to slay it. One of the world's most iconic serpents is the Leviathan. This beast, used as a component in alter ego Meltrelus, is an enormous sea serpent from the Old Testament. While the Leviathan is a perilous dragon in her own right, she also gave birth to the hard-shelled Tarasque, a dragon that tormented southern France during the 1st century. This monster preyed upon ships of the Rhone River, eating victims of capsized vessels. His tyranny came to an end when Saint Martha beat him into submission. Going further back in time, there are the Bashmu, horned snake-like dragons spawned from the Mesopotamian goddess Tiamat. These dragons have long since left the world, but Semiramis can summon a weaker imitation of them within her hanging gardens of Babylon. From Greek mythology, we have Typhon, a western progenitor of dragonkind. Born from Gaia and Tartaros, this monster opposed Zeus, ultimately being sealed away in Mount Etna. In the modern era, a mage named Bai Ruolong discovered and ate Typhon's flesh, gaining its divine powers. Also hailing from Greece is the Dragon of Colchis, a creature tasked with guarding the legendary Golden Fleece. Many falsely assume that heroes involved with the fleece, such as Medea or Jason, have a strong tie to this dragon and can therefore summon it. However, this is not true. While the Golden Fleece can indeed summon its draconic protector, it requires a mage talented enough to perform the summoning. For the 5th Holy Grail War, the mage Atram Galiasta sought out Medea, hoping to conjure the Dragon of Colchis, only to find out she could not do so. Another divine dragon is Vritra from Hindu mythology. In their battle, it is said that Indra vowed not to harm this dragon with weapons made of wood, stone, or metal, and to never attack during day nor night. Cleverly avoiding these restrictions, Indra defeated Vritra at twilight with a column of sea foam. While not exactly a dragon directly, the 7th Labyrinth of Kolbak Alcatraz is home to a dragon-shaped golem that imitates a proper dragon's strength. It is one of the world's most powerful golems, with scale-covered legs and metallic armor. Its magic core is potent enough to sustain a heroic spirit. Based on the legends I've just described, it's clear that dragons and humans are incompatible, often fighting one another. The most iconic cases involve dragons being killed for tormenting humans, but by and large, it is humanity that initiates this conflict. There are exceptions, of course, such as the Elder Dragon. In addition to breathing mana, dragons can perform Magecraft through a special dragon language. This allows them to create golems and their own workshops. The Elder Dragon used this to his advantage, creating a magical workshop on a dragon-infested island. Greedy, this dragon used the workshop to lure in humans for their meat and money. As a servant of Chaldea, King Gilgamesh once led his master to the island, and together they vanquished the Elder Dragon. Dragons and their lust for gold can be traced as far back as the epic poem Beowulf. In it, there was a fire-breathing dragon that hoarded treasures and attacked Beowulf's kingdom. In turn, the hero fought the dragon, and while he succeeded, the dragon's poison brought about his demise. As a product of mystery, dragons are susceptible to human imagination. Stories and concepts of dragons give them life, much like gods. In that regard, the concept of a dragon can be more influential than its actual body. When a dragon is born from human fear or reverence, it is known as a true dragon. The most famous of these true dragons is Fafnir, an embodiment of greed found in the Nibelungenlied and Volsunga saga. In German legend, the hero Siegfried hunted down Fafnir for hoarding the treasure Das Rheingold. He sliced Fafnir open, and its blood washed over his body. This blessed him with the dragon's power, his skin becoming the invincible armor of Fafnir. Norse myth describes Sigurd as slaying Fafnir and eating the dragon's heart to obtain wisdom. Historians often assume that Siegfried and Sigurd's feats are simply variations of the same tale, but it's also possible that there were two separate dragons named Fafnir. This is because, on a conceptual level, living beings can actually become dragons through a process called evil dragon phenomenon. Those who exhibit overwhelming greed may actually transform into Fafnir, or a variation thereof. In Sigurd's tale, for instance, Fafnir was originally the brother of a dwarf who had succumbed to greed. Another victim or benefactor of the evil dragon phenomenon is Kiyohime. After being misled and betrayed by a traveling monk named Anchin, she fell into a state of despair, grief, and hatred. Her love for Anshin turned to spite and delusion, accompanied by her transforming into a fire-breathing serpent. Without having any dragon's blood, her obsession took on the concept of a dragon. Since true dragons are often created from concepts, they are also often killed by concepts. Specifically, dragon slayers must invest all of their strength into taking dragons down, as though their accumulated efforts and willpower were more important than a given technique. You cannot simply ask one of these dragon slayers how they seized victory without also hearing their entire life stories. Two more famous true dragons are the red and white dragons found in the legends of King Arthur. It begins with the Dragon of Albion, the very last pure-blooded dragon to linger in the world. When all other dragons migrated to the reverse side of the world, Albion stayed behind, believing itself strong enough to endure. Eventually, the Age of Gods came to an end, and the path to the reverse side nearly closed. By the time Albion decided to leave, mystery had already declined on Earth, and the Age of Man had already begun. Seeking a greater source of mystery, Albion tried to dig its way deep into the Earth, but died in the process. Its corpse grew into an underground labyrinth known as the Spiritual Tomb of Albion, which remains one of the most mana-rich areas in the entire planet. From its corpse also came two true dragons, based upon a prophecy foretold by Merlin. He told of Britain's upcoming battle with the Saxons, representing Britain as the red dragon, and the foreign invaders as the white dragon. These dragons fought each other, and their struggle carried on in the form of their vessels. Uther Pendragon's brother Vortigern plotted Britain's demise, and became an embodiment of the white dragon after drinking its blood. In opposition, Merlin assisted Uther in imbuing his child Artoria with the essence of the red dragon. Following Merlin's prophecy, Vortigern and Artoria would battle one another as humans possessing strong dragon traits. In Artoria's case, she inherited a magic core which surpasses even the greatest magic circuits. It grants her magical resistance capable of nullifying Magecraft from the Age of Gods. As her body transforms into that of King Arthur, Grey also develops a draconic magic core. Against her will, she is trading her identity for tremendous might. Essentially, Artoria became a dragon as the result of Magecraft. In Vortigern's case, he became a dragon through the evil dragon phenomenon. Beyond this, it's also possible for humans to simply be born with dragon's blood. Such is the case for the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory. While her family's coat of arms represents a dragon, she literally has mixed dragon's blood coursing through her veins. Her dragon's breath emits not fire, but sound waves filled with mana. For as much as she wants to be worshipped as an idol, her singing constitutes a serious threat. During the time of Shuten Doji, we have the hero Kintaro, later named Kintoki of Minamoto no Raiko's Four Heavenly Kings. He too is a mixed-blood human, the son of Raijin. As a red dragon hybrid, he has the strength of a monster, allowing him to slay other Oni. In summation, dragons are the pinnacle of phantasmal species. Their lungs generate mana, and their breath takes on many devastating forms. There are different kinds of dragons, both Eastern and Western, playing a major role in human mythology. On occasion, this mythology can prove so influential that the concept of a dragon overrides their actual physiology. This allows dragons to embody emotions like greed or obsession, in turn allowing humans and other creatures to become dragons. Others are born with dragon's blood, while some are made draconic through Magecraft. Clearly, our discussion on dragons has left me without ample time to cover Albion's remnants, the Spiritual Tomb. Thus, for our next lesson, I will both detail the tomb, as well as its relevance to the clock tower. Thanks for watching!
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Lord Omagoden, Freebrick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, King Kobo, Scout, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Andre Foster, Jared Kraus, Zamas Autonomous, Yukie Eros, Crow Kalem, Sogai CH, Caitlin P, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X 77, Alester Bernadotte, Mickey D 343, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.